Well, nowadays we are suffering from the COVID-19, which is in fact a great hurdle to the entire nation, and we are still suffering, and for that we have to avoid something that we all know, because it has become viral and there is total lockdown everywhere. But we should not spare our time uselessly. So for that I thought that we should do something that should be propitious and fruitful for all of us. So let's begin with, this is my very first video class, and I think that we should begin with the NCERT class 10th chapter, A Letter to God, from the book First Flight. So a letter to God, it is quite strange when we come to know that somebody is writing a letter to God. We have written letter to our friends, we often write letters to those who are our acquaintance, and it is quite strange. But you won't be strange after you go through the story. You won't feel strange. I am quite sure about that. So let's begin with. The topic is A Letter to God. A Letter to God by Gregorio Lopez Fuentes. He was born on 17 November 1897 and died on 10 December 1966. He was a Mexican poet, novelist, and a journalist. So to begin with the story, there was a valley, and in that valley we could hardly find anyone, but there was a house, a lonely house, a solitary house, where a man, an ox of a man, means a man who was very laborious, who used to work very hard. He was Lencho. He lived with his family, and throughout the day he was looking at the northeast sky, because he was a farmer and he was expecting to have a downpour or even a bit of shower, so that the corn would flourish. He wanted it to happen, and he was just staring at the sky. His sons, those who were older, they were working in the field, while those who were younger, they were playing outside, and they were playing. Then all of a sudden their mother called them for the supper. They all went to have their supper. At that time there started the rainfall. There started to rain. It started to rain. And when it started to rain, Lencho was very happy. He wanted to feel the downpours on his body. He wanted to have that. He went there, and it was, the air was fresh and sweet. He was enjoying even the rainpours on his body. But to the utter dismay of that man, Lencho, what happened? The situation turned turtle. You know what happened? From the downpour, it started to hailstorm. It started to hailstorm, and it took away, and it nearly hailstorm for nearly an hour. It happened for nearly an hour, and what happened, the entire corn, they all were destroyed. And now they all gathered, and they were just thinking that we all are farmers. We all are farmers. We are based upon this. If we sell it, we depend upon the harvest, and we won't be having any harvest. Lencho was so worried. He said that even the locust, means the group of insects that swarm together and spoil and destroy the corns, even they could have left something more than what the hailstorms left. They were worried, and Lencho said, I think this year we have to go hungry, we have to starve this year. I suppose so. But in the core of his heart, he was having some feeling, and that was a hope. And a hope that we know, hope and rather than that, we can say he had faith in God. He only expected a single hope, and that from his God. That from his God. He made up his mind that God will not let us die hungry. God will not let us die hungry. So he must do something for us to live this year. So what he did, the next morning, it was Sunday morning, he got up early in the morning, he wrote a letter, and you would be astonished to find that it was written to God. It was written to God. The very next day, he himself went to the post office, dropped the letter, and went with the hope in his heart that he will definitely seek whatever he sought for. And it was nothing more than 100 pesos. As you know, it has been written by the Mexican writer, that's why the word peso has been used instead of rupees or rands or lira or something else. So that happened. He wrote that. When the postman, he went through the letter and he was astonished, he was flabbergasted to find out that it was addressed to God. It was addressed to God, you know. Never in their life they have had any such sort of letter addressed to God. He went to the postmaster. Postmaster saw the letter and he even started to laugh. But all of a sudden he kept quiet and he thought, he said that, oh my gosh, what a man he is. He is simply a great man who is having a great amount of faith in God. He said that yes, now we have to be serious regarding this letter and we should do something. We must do something to help this man. So what he did, he requested the employees and obliged some of his friends to share some money, and even he himself shared a part of his salary. But then also they were unable to collect a sum of 100 pesos. They collected only 70 pesos. 70 pesos, you know. So they were lacking, they were wanting in 30 pesos. But no matter what he did, the man, he himself put the 70 pesos in an envelope and wrote only God. And he wrote only there, God. The very next day, Lencho came to the post office. He asked for if he was having any letter, and he got that letter. And that letter was from God. He never looked astonished. He just opened up the envelope, started counting the money, and when he found that it was 30 pesos short, he became very angry. He went to the postman, and whereas the postmaster was concerned, he was just looking, he was staring at the man. He was very much contented, as we can see those. If we do a good deed, after that we just see the face of other, ki I have done a favor to you, how you feel. So we feel contented, and even he started to feel contented. But when he saw the angry face of Lencho, he got surprised, ki what has happened, my dear? You have got 70 pesos from God and still you are not happy. You feel unhappy. He went to the counter, one of the counter, and there he asked for ink and paper. He wrote that God, I know that you cannot commit any such sort of mistake and you cannot let me starve, and whatever I asked for you would have definitely given me, but you didn't give me. It means, you kindly send me the rest of the 30 pesos, and yes, mind you, these bank employees are nothing short of a bunch of crooks. They are a group of dishonest persons. They are a bunch of criminals. So this time I want the money, the rest of the money directly, not through this postman or the post office. So that was it. So this is the story of a letter to God. So what we have come across after going through this story, we have come to know that We should always have faith in the magnanimity of God, and He never let us down, those who have firm faith in God. And that was exactly the thing that happened with Lencho. We all are different. We all are different. We all have different faith. We all have different beliefs. But still, we should never forget that there is a superpower who is called God, who can never let us down, because God looks down to all who looks up. And that was what exactly happened to Lencho. So there is a great amount of lesson. And what is the lesson we get from it? I would like to I would want to get the reply about the message that you have got from this story. And it would be better if I tell all the things completely, then it won't be very much interesting to you. I need your reply. You should reply me. The address and everything would be forwarded through this. And this is my very first video, so if I have committed any sort of mistake, so kindly forgive me, and I need your comment, your best wishes. Thank you.